So I've read 30 nonfiction books in 2023, and these right here are my top 5. Starting with number 5, Nonviolent Communication. This book specifically was written by a mediator guy who essentially was in conversations mediated between companies and countries and a lot of those higher level negotiating type conversations. I got this book from a recommendation on Tim Ferriss's podcast with Sam Korkus, who is the CEO of Levels. Tim had asked him any books that he highly recommends for the people that work with him in his company. And the 2 books that he mentioned were the Checklist Manifesto and this book, Nonviolent Communication. Read both of them. I think they're both fantastic. This one has just had a greater impact specifically in how I communicate with people on a daily basis. Okay, so number 4 is this book, Plays Well with Others by Eric Barker. One of my favorite things about this book is how he uses cliches as storytelling devices. For example, he uses this one cliche, a friend in need is a friend indeed, to explore the true meaning of friendship and all of the research that's around it. And I really like the way that he writes the book, but also the way that he goes about including the research into these very emotional topics of relationships and the role that they play in our lives. After that, we have number 3, like very much one of my favorite books of all time, Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. If you've seen The Bear, you've seen this book. It's in season 2 of The Bear, and it's in the episode where they're talking about service. And I really don't think that there's a better book to encapsulate the purpose of creating magic for other people and how you can really make that happen. And specifically, how you can weave it into just everyday moments and everyday things. This book specifically has informed so much of how I work and treat just people that I'm around and with and providing services for, because it's really about those magical little details. So, number 2 is this book, The Good Life by Robert Waldinger, who is the current director of the longest running study of human happiness, the Harvard Study of Adult Development. It's been going since 1936, and this book is essentially Robert exploring all of the findings and research in terms of health, in terms of longevity, in terms of life satisfaction. And I think this book really explores what making the most out of life really is. Highly recommend for anybody that honestly intends to keep on living, because I think it informs so much of what's the most important things in life. And last but not least is number 1, this book, Imaginable by Jane McGonigal. The author is a futurist and a game designer. This entire book is exploring her lessons from how she goes about her jobs of like creating future scenarios and exploring how they can inform and impact how we show up in the world, but also how the choices that we make on a day-to-day basis to look at the impact that they're going to have in the future and how we can use and create future scenarios to help us really plan the type of impact that we want to have both on our future and the world's future as a whole. So far, everybody that I've had read this book has honestly said that it's brought a new perspective on not only their life but time and their time on the planet in general. And I really cannot recommend this book enough. This book is actually in my top 5 of all 114 books, 116 books that I've read so far in the last 3 years. And to make it in the top 5% of over 100 books that I've read so far, I cannot speak highly enough about this book. All right, so that is the top 5. Honestly, I would highly recommend all of these. If you're interested in book recommendations, feel free to check out the Notion doc in my bio. I'll put it there in case anybody wants to check out any of the other books that I read in 2023 or any of the other years before now, or to check out any of the books that I will be reading in the future, because it all gets updated there with tags of topics, with similar books that if you like this book, it'll have recommendations for other books that you might enjoy. And also the search for any specific subjects that you might want to look into that I may have read a book or 2 about. If you have any book recommendations that you read in 2023 or plan to read in 2024, highly recommend, just like let me know. Put them in the comments, DM them to me, because I have a long list, but it can definitely get longer. With that, it was a great time. And see you in the next chat about books.